All right, so when we talk about chapter 5.5, right, we've already learned two other methods for calculating the cost to sell our inventory. So this one's going to be the last section, right? We're not going to learn about specific ID. We only learn about three different methods, right? FIFO, which is first in, first out. LIFO is last in, first out. And lastly, weighted average, okay? So this chapter right here is going to be the most precise or the most easiest one to do, all right? So once again, these are the formulas of how we compute our weighted average. Now, everything looks identical. The only difference here is that we have an average cost per item instead of just a regular cost per item, all right? And the formula for this one is you're going to take your total cost and you're going to divide it by your total quantity, all right, to get your average cost per item. So in this case, right, we're looking at our inventory items, right, as if, we don't care how much it costs and we don't care how much quantity that we have. Our main goal is to just sell them all out or cost them out all at the same price. So that's what average costing does, or in this case, weighted average, So with that being said, the idea here is that we're trying to take our product, and we're obviously purchasing a lot of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to spread the cost evenly amongst every single item that we have. All right. So that's where this formula right here, we're not going to be calculating a cost per item. We're going to be calculating an average cost per item. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right into our example. So once again, we have the same exact scenario that we've been looking at for all the PowerPoints, right? June 1st, you purchase 100 toys at $1.25 with the freight costing you $25. Then on June 11th, we purchase another 100 toys at $1.28 with the freight costing you $26. So once again, the journal is going to look just like this, right? You're going to recognize a purchase expense and a freight expense. Okay. So once again, you're going to plug this into your table, right? Exactly the same as we've been doing so far throughout all the methods, right? You're completing the table as if you're going to fill each item out and you're answering each column, right? Same thing here, right? Your purchase price is going to come first, right? Which is your quantity times your unit price, right? And then you're going to get your total cost right here, which is your freight plus your purchase price, okay? Now, here, right, for class purposes and practice purposes only, you can also do your cost per item. But it's actually going to be, for this one, since this is our very first batch of inventory, you should calculate your cost per item because it could be your only batch that you have. Right? So in this case, I've calculated it, which is going to be $1.50 per item. But because I know that in June 11th, I purchased another 100 batch of items. So once again, you're going to plug it in and fill in all the information. And then even if you want to, you can calculate your cost per item. But in this case, I don't actually care for my cost per item because it doesn't matter to me anymore, because the idea is that now that I have two batches of inventory, what I'm going to do is we're going to calculate the total amounts here, right? We're going to tally up our columns. We're going to say, well, we have a total quantity of purchased items at 200 items, right? Costing me a grand total of $304. So this is where now we can go ahead and take our average cost per item because this is what we're solving for. we're solving for the total cost, which is 304, and dividing it amongst the total amount of quantity that we purchased. So in this case, 200, right? We're taking everything that we have, we're combining them all together, and we're going to divide and spread the cost evenly amongst every single item. So at the end of the day, every item that you sell, they're all going to cost you the same amount. Instead of focusing on this batch came first and that batch came last. This one was at 150, the other one was at 154. No, you're going to find the middle ground, which in this case, right, if we take by 304 and you're going to divide it by 200, we get $1.52, which is right in the middle between $1.50 and $1.54, right? It's the average. It's the middle number, all right? So yes, there's a little math in here. Terms, average is going to be one of them where we're going to sum up everything and just divide them out evenly to cost it evenly. So in this case, it's going to cost me $1.52 for every item that I sell. Okay? So once again, you're going to be taking these pieces of information and you're going to transfer it over into our little bottom part right here in our inventory worksheet, where we solve for our net purchases, right? We plug those numbers in, right? And of course, we don't have any beginning inventory. So here, we're taking a look at that. Your net purchases is going to be 200 at 304, okay? But here, we're also given that on June 15, we also had a remainder of 80 toys available, okay? So therefore, now we need to solve for our cost of goods sold. So in this case, if we have a total of 200 toys available to sell and we have 80 remaining at the end of the given period, therefore our assumption is we must have sold 120 items. All right? Now, here is what makes it incredibly easy, because in this case, we have 200 toys available costing me at $304, and when I spread the cost evenly, it's going to cost me $1.52 per item that I sell. In this case, I don't care about the batches that I bought first or the batches that I bought last. I care about looking at the overall amount. So in this case, I'm only dealing with one number and one number only, the average cost, which in this case, it's going to cost me $1.52 to sell for every item that I sell. So in this case, I take my 120, I multiply by my 152 to get an even number of, even number of 182.40, right? I plug that number in, and now I need to solve for my ending inventory, which we know to be, right, you could solve either by taking 80 times 152, or you could just simply take your goods available, subtracting out your cost of goods sold to get a remainder of 121.60. So once again, this is why weighted average is the most easiest one, because instead of having to highlight which batch came first or recognizing or having to calculate that cost per item all the time, we're taking the total amount of quantity and we're taking the total amount of cost and dividing it to find out one number, and take that number and use it for our inventory to solve for our cost of goods sold or ending inventory. So in this case, it's the easiest one and it's the quickest one too, because instead of having to go through all of those numbers and all of those batches, you're only dealing with one number and one number only. All right? Any questions for weighted average? Okay. So, of course, like every single inventory worksheet we've completed at the end of the given period, right? We're given context. We're given that at the end on June 15, we have a total of 80 toys available. So we are obligated to complete a conversion entry because right now all of my items are expenses. We need to convert them into assets as well as recognize that we've sold some of the toys along the way. So here we are, we have this table right here because we completed the table and we calculated everything. We're just going to plug our numbers in exactly how we've been doing it for the past other two methods, right? This conversion entry will always stay the same for every periodic inventory that we do, all right? The only difference here is what debits and credits you are associating them with, right? Because every time we calculate our numbers, we'll get a different number every single time. All right? So pretty straightforward, right? Now, of course, when we have beginning inventory, right? So when we carry these numbers over to a new accounting period, we need to also recognize that we have beginning inventory and it does exist. However, when we do make our purchases, right, we must keep them separate, just like how we've been doing, right? Now we have two more purchases of inventory, right, at $1.27, right? And we're solving for the total cost here. And every single time you do that, right, we're calculating our net purchases at this point. All right? Once we've done that, now, I'm not calculating my cost per item because it does not matter to me right now because this isn't my total quantity and this isn't my total cost here, right? Because right now, we're just doing our net purchases. So that's why we're going to solve here for our net purchases, that we're just going to tally up our information. And now, this is where the average cost per item is not going to be calculated here because we have a problem. We have beginning inventory. That is going to be included with our total net purchases. Then we can determine what our average cost per item is going to be, because now instead of having 200 items, we're going to have to also calculate our extra 80 items from our beginning inventory. All right. So here, this is where we wait till we solve for our goods available, right? We're going to add our beginning inventory to our net purchases to give us a total quantity of 280 items at a total cost of $429.60. So once we have that, this is where we now can calculate our average cost per item, because this is our total quantity available versus all of our total quantity available. I think I just repeated that. I meant total cost and total quantity. Okay, so there we're going to find the average cost per item now, because here we have a total of $429.60 and we have a total of 280 items available to sell. So we're going to take our total cost here and divide it by our total quantity to get a number like this: 1.545343. Now, this is where I'm going to also start teaching you how to use the equal round, because in this case, right, we're selling in large quantities, right? If we're selling one or two items, then, you know, the average cost per item, if you choose to round, it won't make a significant difference. But if I'm selling pallets of 1,000 items, for every pallet it is, thousands and thousands and thousands of items, rounding up too early can hurt your business, especially if you're costing them out at such a high price. You will end up losing a marginal profit every single time you sell an item. Now, of course, if you think about it, a thousandth of a penny, if you sell 1,000 items and you round too early, you lose $1. But think about it. If you are running your business and that was just one incident where you sold 1,000 and you lost $1, imagine trying to run your business for the next 10 years. And if you keep taking that dollar out, that's already that's already $10 or if you're selling more than 1,000 for every item, then it will hurt you at the end. It gets calculated over time and you end up losing a lot more money than you would normally. All right. So make sure that we're going to practice this, that I'm going to teach you not to round until the very end. All right. So in this case, right, if I sold a total of 220 items, right, and it's going to cost me $1.5343, right? I'm going to go ahead and calculate it. And once I do that, where I want to round to the nearest penny, because, right, we talked about journalizing. Journalizing needs to be in terms of dollars. Now, can I charge my customer $1.5343? You can charge your customer a fourth of wait, that's about almost half a penny. You could tell your customer, hey, give me half a penny. No. Absolutely not. You have to round up, right? In this case, I would have to round up because my end result is 337.54 at the cutting point, right? If I extend this out, it'd be 5,3xxxxx, right? In this case, I'm going to teach you how to equal round because you can't charge your customer a quarter of a penny, half a penny. No, you're going to have to either round up or round down. In this case, I'm not going to round my cost per item. I'm going to round my end result, which is the total it's going to cost my customer when I charge them. All right, so that's very similar to tax, right? Tax is always going to be rounded up because the government wants their money. If it's half a penny, you round up. All right, so that is that right there. Okay, so now that we solved for that, then we're now going to calculate what the ending balance is, which is going to be 9206. Right, because that's what 60 is times this amount right here, which should roughly give you $92.06 left in inventory. Okay. Any questions on weighted average, especially when we're dealing with beginning inventory? You need to add everything up together and then solve for average cost per item.
So I kind of lost you on the beginning inventory. What did you do before we find out the total cost?
Okay, so let me go back. So here, right, we have a new quantity and a new total cost because with our net purchases, right, our net purchases was just the 200 items at $308, right? But because we had remaining inventory from our previous period, right, we need to also include that into our new batch of inventory because now we have a new total cost and a new total quantity, right? Our goods available says that we have a total of 280 worth of items, costing me at a total of $429.60. So we need to take a new average cost per item because my goal is I want to spread my total cost amongst every single item I have. So when I do sell it, they are all reflecting one cost and one cost only. I don't care what came first. I don't care what came last. I don't care what's in the middle. All I care about is taking my totals, my total totals, adding them all up, and taking my total cost and spreading it evenly across all of the total quantity that you have available to get you an average cost per item. All right, does that make sense, Nathan? We started out with 200, but because we have a beginning inventory, we have to add them together because now I want to charge my customers and cost me for every time I sell an item. I want them all to be one price. I don't want them to be different prices. I just want them all to be the same price.
Yeah, I got it. I was wondering where you get the 429. So that's from the beginning 120.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, so once again, we need to compute our conversion entry, right? We have to introduce, right, our ending inventory, our cost of goods sold, purchase expense, freight expense, and of course, we have to also recognize our beginning inventory. Oops. Okay. All right. Now, looking at all three methods that we learned this throughout this week, right? This week and last week. Comparing them side by side, right? You're going to notice that this is from the very first one, right? Where we talked about the first 200 items, right? And here, right? We have 200 items with an ending inventory of 80 and we sold 120 items, right? So FIFO, notice this, right? Each one that we do, we ended up with $123.20 as our ending inventory, and we sold 180.80, right? Where our last in, first out, right? We ended up having a total of $120 in our inventory, and we sold 184. So we cost ourselves a little too high right here, right? We actually cost out too much when we sold our items because we sold our more expensive ones first. And then last but not least, my weighted average. In this case, it's pretty much split between the LIFO and the FIFO, right? I'm ending with 121, which is between 123 and 120. 121, right there. And then of course, when we sold our items, we sold it right in the middle, right? We ended up at 182 versus 180 and 184. So in this case, right now, it doesn't matter what method you use because at the end of the day, you're going to end at zero no matter what. Your batches that you purchase are always going to result you costing everything out and you're going to zero everything out. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you claim your profits early or you claim your profits later. At the end of the day, you're going to zero them out. You're going to sell all your items and you're going to repeat the process over and over and over again. Okay? The only idea that we use the methods for is once again to determine which one fits best for you because FIFO, we talked about why you would use FIFO. You would definitely use FIFO because you sell groceries, you sell foods that have an expiration date. You have to sell your first pallet first before selling the other ones because they have a later expiration date. Okay? LIFO, right? Any electronics out there, you're always going to sell the later model first. And then of course, weighted average, you don't care at this point. You don't care if if the item, right, it could be an item that has no expiration date, has a long shelf life, all right? And it doesn't matter whether it's been 5 years or 1 year. That product is still going to be the same, right? In this case, we're just costing them at average because you sell this item a lot more often because it's a necessity, all right? So that's the difference that we're going to be looking here. It's not about the profit at all, okay? It's just which method of calculating each one works best for you. And once again, you can use all three for your company. Yes, because like for example, Walmart. Walmart does sell both groceries and electronics, and they also sell things that does not have a shelf life. They can use all three. But why would you want to use all three? And that's where a lot of corporations, right, will make decisions where they'll use one method, and the most common method that they'll use is going to be weighted average or moving average, depending on whether you use periodic or perpetual inventory, because it's the easiest to keep track of. You don't need to keep track of what came first, what came last. You just take the average cost and you just go through them when you gather up your grand total. So the most common one that a lot of companies use is weighted average, just because it's how easy it is to calculate and how simple it is to get your results. Right? Any questions? So when we're looking at the Chapter 5 Periodic Inventory Review, we notice that when we are using FIFO, we're going to start from the very top and make our way down to the bottom, okay? When we're doing LIFO, we're going to start our way from the bottom all the way up to the top. Whereas weighted average, we don't care what came first, we don't care what came last. All we care about is calculating the total available, right? The total totals, and calculating an average cost to spread the cost evenly amongst them. Where LIFO and FIFO, we have to keep track of each one and cost them based on each group or each batch. Okay, so that's the difference between the three. All right, and we're going to take a look at our first exercise, which is the 5.5 exercise 1, or there's no number behind it. Okay, all right, so any questions before we move on to the exercises?
No.
Okay. So for this one, I'm not going to have you guys journal because it's rinse and repeat. The difference between LIFO, FIFO, and weighted averages, the journals are all going to stay the same. All right? Because we're just purchasing inventory and we're just putting it into our inventory worksheet. When we calculate the end result, that's the difference between them. So in this case, I'm not going to have you guys journalize that for today because, once again, it's rinse and repeat. So let's go ahead and just go through each scenario and plug our numbers into our inventory worksheet. Okay? So the first scenario we have here for question number 1 is that on April 5th, we decide to purchase 1,000 units at $5 each, with the freight costing you $100. So here we are, first inventory worksheet. Okay. It is April 5th. We purchased 1,000 units at $5 each, with the freight costing $100. All right. So let's go ahead and determine what my purchase price is. What's my purchase price? $5,000, yes. Plus my freight of $100. What is my total cost? $5,100. All right. Now let's go ahead and calculate. So this is my very first batch, right? I'm just going to assume that we don't know anything more. and this is the only batch that I have. So what would be my cost per item?
$5.10.
$5.10, right? Gives us $5.10, right? Because we're just assuming that maybe this is the first batch that I have, right? And it's my only batch that I have, right? So now what happened on April 10? We end up purchasing an additional 750 items at $5.75 with a freight of 75. You had 750 at $5.75
Yes.
with the freight of 75. So what is going to be my total purchase price?
$43.12.50.
430. Yeah, go. It's okay. 43.12.50. Right, plus $75 gives me a total cost of
$43.87.50.
43.87.50. Right. Now here, do I need to calculate my cost per item?
No.
No, I don't have to. I can wait till the very end when I have my total quantities and I have my total cost to go ahead and determine that. All right. So then what happened on April 20th?
You purchased 200 units.
At what unit cost?
I don't. Can you go back up again? I don't. It's at $6, which came to $1,200.
Okay, and the freight?
$20.
Okay, so I have $6, which you said gave you $1,200 plus $20 gives you a total cost of
$12.20.
$1,220. Right? Last but not least, what happened on April 25th?
You purchased 500 items at $6.25 unit price and $50.
So April 25th, we have 500 units at $6.25 with the freight of 50. All right, so what was my total purchase price again? Sorry.
$3,125.
Good. Plus
For a
50.
total cost of $3,175.
Good. All right. So last but not least, what's the last piece of information that you're given?
You had 600 units.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. So ending balance, excuse me, ending balance is going to be 600. Okay. So now let's go ahead and sum up our totals because now we've reached the end of the given period and it's time for us to calculate our net purchases. So here, what is my net purchases? All right, what is my total quantity that I have here?
$24.50.
2,450. Good. What was my total purchase price?
$13,882.50. Oh,
82.
Yeah, that's with the shipping included, I think.
Yes, that's
yeah,
yes.
it is. It is.
Okay, so there you go. So that's the total cost, all right? So we have to find the other information between that. All right, there we go. All right, so let's start by filling out our net purchases. So we had a total quantity that we purchased of 200 items, right? Which cost us how much?
13,637.50.
Mm-hmm. In this case, I'm going to assume that I don't have any purchase returns and allowances. So once again, that takes away from your inventory, which in this case, right, reflects the same here. Freight doesn't add anything to quantity, but it does add to the cost, right? So my freight of 245, right? If you're going to add those together, you're going to get your total net purchases of 13,882.50. Okay? So here, since I only have this available, right, I know for a fact I don't have beginning inventory because I'm assuming that we are starting inventory from the very beginning, right? We started out with 0. So I'm going to carry my values down, right, because that's my net purchases. And my goods available is going to be what my net purchases was. Okay, so here we have a total of 2,450 items at a grand total of 13,882.50. Now I'm also given the idea here where my ending balance was 600 units. So how many items did I actually sell?
1,850.
Good. So this is where it becomes extremely easy. But this is also where we're going to have to maybe round. So in this case, right, what's going to be my average cost per item? What is going to be my average cost per item?
I got 5.6661.
Okay, so what numbers did you took? You took the total cost of the 13,882.50.
2450.
Good, excellent. So here, this is where we get a bunch of mumbo jumbo, all right? And think about it. We have a total of 2,450 items to sell. So if you decide to round at 67, you will lose $1 for every 1,000 items that you sell. In this case, if I sold all 2,600, that's already $2 I lost already. Just giving you theoreticals here. So in this case, I'm going to keep my average cost per item to be whatever number this is. So in this case, I got 5.66632653, right? That is taking my 13,882.50 and dividing it evenly throughout my 2,450 items, all right? And here, I know for a fact that I sold a grand total of 1850. Okay? So your formula here, this is what I want you to do because oftentimes, especially with Excel, you can be tricked visually, right? And I'm going to show you what I mean by this. If I go ahead and take my 1850 and I multiply it by my average cost per item, I'm going to get this large number here. Okay? I'm going to get 10,000, 10,482.70, and then if you keep extending, it goes on. So it says 70,4008. Now, can I charge my customers 0.4 of a penny?
No.
No. So this is where I'm going to be teaching you how to use the equal round formula, because at the end of the day, right, if just exactly how I had it, because I didn't display my numbers, right, or I formatted my cells to show me this, right, in this case, I don't know that I have 0.4 of a penny in there, right? And every 1,000 of items that I sell, that's $1 extra or $1 extra penny that you are creating out of thin air. All right? So, once again, if I'm looking at it like this, right? I can't tell that there's a penny, that there's a 0.4 of a penny there. It shows to me as if it is 70 cents even. But if I extend it out like I showed earlier, right? Now I know that there is 0.408 of a penny there. And I do not want that, because when we're dealing with accounting, right? You can't charge 1/4 of a penny. You can't charge people this kind of amount. And you cannot journalize 1/10 of a penny. All right? You have to round up to the nearest penny. So in this case, I'm going to teach you what's the equal round formula. All right? So equal round, right? Tab to insert your formula, to activate your formula. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually enter in the same exact equation, right? I'm going to take my quantity and I'm going to multiply it by my total cost per item, right? That's my first argument is, what is the equation? The equation is, I want to know what quantity times cost is going to be. And to end that argument, you're going to do a comma. And then the second part of the argument is going to be, how many decimal places do you want to have it round off to? And in this case, we're looking at pennies, right? So we're looking at 2 decimal places, all right? And then, of course, to finish off, you just press enter. And here, now, you see here it displays in this box right here, it shows me that it is 700000000 because it rounded it off for you. Okay? Now, once again, this is the best way of using it, but once again, the thing about Excel is it will only produce you what you tell it to do. Now, you definitely want to be careful when there's half pennies going around, because half pennies allows you to not only round up during the cost of goods sold, but it also allows you to round up for the ending inventory. So you're creating half a penny somewhere out of thin air. So you do need to make sure that your calculations do hold true and that you are carefully calculating, because you can create money out of thin air, and that's where, you'll find your discrepancies. So once again, accounting is very tricky, but as long as we keep our, methods clear and, formulas are organized, you should have no issues with it. So this is what my end result is. It should give me a total of $10,482.70 of cost. That's how much it cost me to sell those items. All right? Now let's take a look. What if I actually rounded this up early, as I've mentioned before? Right? So I'm going to go ahead and show you this real quick. If I said my cutting point is going to be $5.67, right? I'm rounding my cost per item up because it's 6, right? So therefore 6 rounds it up to the penny of 7. If I were to multiply this across, right? It's going to cost me 10,000. Oh, wait, was that right? 10,000. Oh, okay, I see what I did. It's $1,850, right? Now I'm at $10,489.50. Right there, which up here in the very beginning, right? I have it by $10,482, right? If I take the difference between that, right? Or I guess this one, subtract this. I have $6 difference between them. Now, let's think about this. If it cost me to sell the same exact items, right, and it cost me $10,482.70, but if I round up, it's costing me more money. So in this case, I just lost $6 to profit because I chose to round early and round up. So in this case, looking at a business standpoint, for every 1,000 that you sell, you're losing out money. And of course, as business, right, we want to try to minimize our costs while maximizing our profits and savings. So in this case, am I saving money here? No. I'm costing at too high of a price, causing me to lose $6.80 worth of profit. And this is why I'm telling you now, in this class, I want to teach you this to not round the cost per item because you will lose money at the end of the day. Now, for any company that you do work for, if they tell you, I don't care, you're going to round up, then you're going to listen to them and you're going to follow whatever they say. Because you're not the company. You're just simply working for the company. And they tell you they want to do it this way, so that's exactly what you're going to do. All right? But in this class, I'm trying to save money as possible and try to make the better, bigger profit. So I'm choosing to round at the very end. Okay? So once again, I use the equal round and I have a total of the 1042.70 as my end result of my cost of goods sold. All right? And in this case, right, instead of having to calculate that total amount, right, it's just easier to take your ending balance and to subtract out your cost of goods sold because then you'll get the rounded amount right then and there versus having to calculate it, the 600 at the average cost per item and then having to round that one up as well. That's a little more work when you can just simply just take two numbers and find the difference. Okay. Any questions for this exact problem right here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So as question 2 says, let's go ahead and journalize our conversion entry. Okay. So now it's April 30th, excuse me. So what should my ending journal look like? My conversion entry look like?
You have inventory for 60.
Mm-hmm. Inventory. What else do I need to recognize?
Cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. What else?
Purchase expense.
Mm-hmm.
Freight.
Good. Purchase expense and freight expense. Right? So what was my total value of my ending inventory? or my total cost of my ending inventory. Good. What was the total cost of my cost of goods sold?
$10,482.70.
Good. And what was my total purchases? What was the total cost of my purchases?
$13,637.50. Sorry.
No worries. Good. And last but not least, what was my total freight?
$245.
Good. So once again, before anything, we need to make sure that my debits match my total credit. So I have a total of $13,882.50 on the left, total of $13,882.50 on the right. Excellent. So now we're going to talk about question number 3, where we actually have to carry over what we just solved for previously. Okay, so in this case, right, we have a total on April 30th, we had a total of 600 units on hand, which we know because that's exactly what we solved for in our previous worksheet. So I'm going to be carrying over my 600 units, costing me a total of $3,399.80. So bringing that over to my new inventory worksheet and carrying it over to my worksheet here. All right, so that was 3,980, right? So in this case, I don't need to solve my average cost per item here, is because I know that at the end of the day, I'm making new purchase of inventory, so my average cost per item will change. All right? So you don't need to do it unless you want to do practice purposes only. You can have it there so you know exactly how much it's going to cost you, per item. But at the end of the day, right, we know for a fact that this amount will change. Okay? So since that was my total or beginning balance here, that's my beginning balance of 600 at my 3,399.80. That's my beginning balance. Okay? So now let's go ahead and go through the scenario and take a look at my purchases that I made for the month of May. So, month of May, all right? May 5th, we purchased 500 units at $6.25 with a freight of $50. Okay. So this is 500, 625 with the freight costing $50. Okay, so what is my purchase price?
$31.25.
$31.25. My total cost?
$31.75.
Good. Now in this case, do I need to calculate my cost per item?
No.
No. Why? If this isn't my first batch I have a pre-existing beginning balance. So in this case, you don't need to waste extra formula time by entering in a formula that you're not going to use, because at the end of the day, you're going to be calculating an average cost per item. Right? So then what happened on May 10?
Purchase 500 units at $6 with a freight cost of $80.
All right. May 10. We have 800 items at $6 with a freight costing 80. So what's my purchase price here?
4,800.
4,800 plus 80 of freight gives me a total of
48.80.
48.80. Good. All right. May 20th, what happened here?
Purchased 300 units at $6.15. And $15 freight charge.
300 at 6.15 and $15 freight. So what is my total, what's my purchase price here?
It is $18.45.
Mm-hmm. Plus $15 freight gives me a grand total cost of
$18.60.
$18.60. Right? Last but not least, on May 25th, what did we do here?
Purchased 100 units at $6.30.
So what's my purchase price?
$630.
Mm-hmm.
And total of $635.
Perfect. Okay. And of course, now, last but not least, we also have, what do you know at the end of May? What happened here?
You have 400 units left.
You have 400 units left. Okay. So I'm going to make that a note in my ending balance here that I have 400 units left. Okay. So now let's go ahead and calculate our net purchases, right? Total up our tallies in our table here. So I should have a total quantity of
1,700.
1,700 with a total purchase price
10,400.
plus a freight of
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
it's okay, don't worry about it. What is my total freight here?
10,550.
Good, so that's my total cost, right? So 150 is going to be my freight. All right. Now, this was just my net purchases, right? So we're going to just plug those numbers in here just as usual, right? We have a total quantity of 1,700 costing at $10.40. Right? We assume that we have no returns or allowances, right? We'll get to see what happens when we deal with that tomorrow. Okay? And of course, freight doesn't actually add anything to quantity, but it does add to cost, right? So here, your total net purchases should be what you solved up in the table. Now, of course, your net purchases is going to be different when we have returns and allowances because you return the items. You're not going to have your full 1,700 anymore. You're going to actually make a return. All right. So there we have that. So our total net purchases is going to be 1,700 at 1050, 10,550. Now, because we have beginning inventory, right? What was our total quantity of beginning inventory that we have to carry over?
600.
600 at what cost?
3,399.80.
Good. Right, 600 at 3,399.80. Right? We're also going to carry over our net purchases that we saw from right above. Okay? To give us now a grand total. What's my goods available? How much quantity do I have available?
2,300.
At what total cost?
$13,949.80.
Good. Excellent. So this is my goods available, right? I combined my 600 that I have from the very beginning. I combined it to my net purchases. So this is my total goods available. Now with this idea, right? I don't care to have whichever batch came first or whichever batch came last. I care about taking the total amounts and just distributing the cost evenly and just costing them all at one price. So in this case, what is going to be my average cost per item?
Is it 34.8745?
34 point, no, that's not going to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in this case, wait, let me see. Our average is going to be about roughly like $5 or $6 each. So we're going to take our total cost of $13,949.80 and we're going to divide it by our total quantity of the 2,300.
Okay, so it's 6.0651.
Okay, so I'm going to actually put it down here so we can kind of see it a little better. So we're going to take our total cost of this and divide it by my total quantity of 2,300 to get 6.06, you said?
Yeah, 0651.
Good. Excellent. Okay. So once again, I'm dragging it out because that means, so this is where we have to be careful because we have 0.51 of a penny. All right. So, and we sold, how many items did we sell in grand total? If I started with 2,300 and I have 400 left,
1,900.
we sold a total of 1,900, right? So again, easy peasy, right? We just take our 1,900 and calculate it for every cost per item, right? Instead of going through all the batches and have to calculate each one and adding them all up, we only need one number to take care of it. Because right here, we just take our average cost here, and we're going to now use our equal round formula. Because, again, we're looking at 10,000th of a penny. I don't care for that because I can't charge my customers that. So in this case, I need to use my equal round formula. So equal round, right? Press that tab to activate it. We're going to go quantity times cost per item, right? Comma 2, because I want 2 decimal places, enter. And we get a total of $11,523.75. All right, so from there, what is going to be my ending balance?
$11,426.05.
Yes. 2426.05. Right. All right, excellent. All right. So now we took a look at doing weighted average with beginning inventory. And this is what you got to do. You just have to calculate your total goods available and then solve here. All right? Because we don't care about what came first. We don't care what came last. So this one is, what do you guys think? This is the easiest one, right? We don't have to deal with colors. We don't have to deal with which batch was the most expensive. All we care about is one number and one number only, and that's the average cost per item. Okay. Any questions?
So you're just gonna run at the end, correct? To get
Correct.
the ending
Correct.
balance. Okay.
Correct. Because once again, if I left this, it would have been like 74977 something. You can't charge your customers that, or you can't cost yourself that, right? Because you didn't pay half a penny to your vendor. You paid a solid rounded dollar amount. So in this case, that applies here as well.
So we have the 6.06. So how many decimal points should we have in there? 5 or whatever it is that comes up.
So if you're using Excel, it will run the whole entire number in there. But displaying wise, it's up to you. As long as you're able to recognize that this is a rounded number, an unrounded number, then you don't really need to actually do that. But if you're calculating, like you're punching into the calculator, leave the numbers in there. Do not punch it in as 6.0651. You will round too early right there.
Okay.
You will get a different result. So when you calculate, right, your $13,949.80 divided by your 2,300, you're going to get that number, and it's going to be running in your calculator, right? And straight from there, just press the multiplication key and just go directly towards whatever amount your cost is. That way you won't round too early. You'd never, ever, ever punch in the calculator your average cost per item because you will get a rounded number. But if you're using Excel, you shouldn't have any problem. And of course, if you know how to format it, you can hide all the numbers if you'd like. If I want 2 decimal places to show, I can say like that. But I know for sure if I were to extend it out, I know that it is more than 67 cents.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, let's finish up our conversion entry. Okay, so this time we have beginning inventory, right? We have beginning inventory, right? So 531. So therefore, we have to introduce inventory as ending, and we have inventory beginning. All right. So what was my total amount of beginning ending inventory? First comes ending.
$2,426.05.
What was my total cost of goods sold?
$11,523.75.
Good. What was my total purchases?
$10,400.
What was my total freight?
$150.
All right. And what was my beginning inventory balance?
3,399.80 cents.
Good. All right. So once again, I'm going to tally this up just to ensure my accounting, right? I didn't fat finger anything. All right. So I have a total of 13,949.80 on my left, and I have the exact amount on the right. All right. All right. Good job, guys. All right. So, you guys have an option, right? Because at the end of the day, we're still gonna end the class early. So, if you guys want to take a break now and then come back and do the rest, or just push through and complete the second exercise, which is pretty easy because I already filled out most of the information for you. So, what do you guys want to do? Push forward.
Push through.
Okay. We got Kim that wants to push through. Anybody else?
Second
Yeah, we
that
can push
motion.
through.
All right, let's push through and then end the day early, all right? So here's exercise 2. Once again, this is dealing with June numbers. So I pretty much filled out a lot of the information for you already, but this time, easy, right? We just need to calculate our sum totals and so on and so forth. So here on June 1st, we purchased a total of 1,500 items costing at $1.30. So what is my purchase price?
$1,950.
Good. Plus $200 freight.
$2,150.
$21.50. Good. Do we need to calculate our cost per item?
No.
No, not. Well, we already know that there's already a lot of other extra inventory, so no need to. All right. So then on June 5th, we purchased an additional 700 units at $1.35 with the freight costing $100. So what is my purchase price?
$945.
$945 plus $100 freight total
Yeah, $1045.
$10.45. Okay. Then on June 8th, we purchased an additional 950 units at $1.32 with the freight costing $120. What's my purchase price?
1,254.
Okay. Plus 120 gives you a total cost.
1,374.
Good. Right. Then on June 10, we purchased 1,200 units at $1.30 with a freight of $150. So what's my purchase price here?
1560.
$15.60.
And the purchase price is 1660. The total cost.
$16.60. Oh, you only put 100.
Oh, okay.
It's 150.
Yep. Okay, my bad.
Okay, so it's now 17.10. All right.
Right.
Now then on June 12th, we purchased a total of 800 units, costing me $1.25 with a freight of $100. So what's my purchase price here?
1,000.
1,000. Total cost 1,100. Good. All right. And then last but not least, on June 15, we purchased a total of 550 units at $1.30 with a freight of 70. So purchase price.
$715.
Good.
And 715 plus the 70 is $785.
Good. Excellent. All right. since we reached the end here, let's go ahead and tally up our totals. Okay. So what was my total quantity that I purchased?
I came up with 71.74.
71.74? Or what happened here?
Yeah, I think I added the wrong. Yeah, I added the total cost.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. All right. So we got, okay. Let me 71.74. Let's see. Yeah, 71.74. Okay, I didn't get any of those numbers.
I didn't either. Let me see. How did I get that? I missed something while I was adding.
All right, Sonia, Erica, Inga, did you guys, or Nathan, did you guys get the same answers as me? Did you get a total of 5,700 units?
Yes.
Okay. At a total purchase price of $7,424. Okay. Sonia, did you get the same answers too?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I did also.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right, Kim?
Did I get the same? Yeah, I did.
Okay,
I'm still adding the the 741, but yeah, I'm coming up with the same totals.
perfect. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug in our net purchases, right? We've done this many times, right? But once again, tomorrow we'll see something different. So just hold on till tomorrow, all right? Tomorrow's going to be tricky too because not only are we going to be focusing on batches and stuff like that, we're also going to be actually taking a look at what happens when we actually have to adjust our quantities and our total costs, okay? So there we have it, right? Freight is 0, but we have a total freight of $740, giving us our total net purchases to be our 5,700 items at a grand total of my $8,164. Okay. All right, once again, we're assuming that we're starting our inventory at the beginning of 0. So we're starting at 0. So therefore, when we carry our net purchases, our goods available is going to be equal to our net purchases. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the scenario to find out what our ending balance was. So what does it tell us here on June 15?
You still have 500 units.
All right, so we still have 500 units. So therefore, how much in grand total did I actually sell?
5,200.
5,200. All right. So if I sold a total of 5,200, right? Let's now calculate my average cost per item. In this case, what two numbers am I going to be taking here? I only have two numbers here. I'm going to take my total cost of
8,164.
and I'm going to divide that by my total quantity of.
5,700.
So that gives me an average cost per item to be.
I got 1.4322.
1.43, and I'm going to extend it out because, yes, it goes beyond that. 228070. All right.
Yes.
So this is where now we keep this in a calculator or we keep it in our Excel. And now we have to perform our equal round formula. Okay. Now what you can do too is you can multiply it and then type it in so then your numbers are rounded. But in this case, I like to cell reference. So, and I also want you guys to practice this too because it is very important that you do know this for accounting. You should know the equal round formula. Right. So I'm going to take my 5,200 and I'm going to multiply it by my 143,22807, right? Comma, right? That's my formula or my equation I'm solving for. And I'm going to end my argument and determine how many decimal places I want it to round to. In this case, I want 2. So what is my total cost of goods sold?
Okay, see if this is right. 7,447.85.
Okay, 885.
8596.
8596, so you're gonna have to round up.
Yeah. Oh, we're supposed to round it. Yes. 86.
Good. So good. 744,786 is going to be our total cost of goods sold.
And how did you get that again?
Which one? The cost?
Yeah, when you rounded it off. So did you divide the 5,200 by the 14322?
Okay, we didn't divide, we multiplied.
So 5,200 times the 14322?
Correct. Because we sold a total of 5,200 items, right? Costing me $1.4322 per. So we want to know what our total if each item is going to cost me $1.4322. I want to know how much it is when I sell a grand total of 5,200. So I want to multiply them.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Yeah. 144. So I got 7447859 so on so on so then you would round it off. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, because your ending numbers was 859. 9 is definitely higher than 5, so you're definitely going to round that up to 60 cents. Or
Okay.
to 60.
Okay. Got
Mm-hmm.
it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right, so then what should be my ending inventory? My ending balance.
716 and 14 cents.
Good. 716.14 is correct, right? To make it really easy, instead of having to again have to calculate this nasty number once again, we could just take a shortcut and just take it right away off of the goods available, right? Because this is what you have available and this is what you sold. So it makes sense to just find the difference between them to get your ending balance without having to go through the whole calculations. All right. All right. Excellent. All right. So now one thing and last thing is to go ahead and journalize our conversion entry. So I already have it preset for you. So what was my ending inventory?
716.14.
Mm-hmm. What was my cost of goods sold? I think I'm in the wrong cell, but that's okay. Yes, I am the wrong cell. Okay, give me 1 second. let's shrink this. All right, there you go. So ending inventory was the 716.14. What was the total cost of my goods sold?
7447.86.
Hmm. What was my total purchases?
7424.
24.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, since we don't have beginning inventory, what was my freight expense? My total freight.
740.
740. So, once again, bottom of the journal to test if they pan out. Okay, if my debits equal my total credit. So I have 8164 on the left, 8164 on the right. And of course, we don't have beginning inventory, so you could erase this if you don't want it there. So there we have it. All right. Any questions? Because this is it. That's all of chapter 5 for you, or at least the 3 methods. So we got to learn FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average. Right. Tomorrow we're going to practice all 3 of them, but including our purchase returns and allowances, discounts, and etc. So if you guys don't have any other questions, you guys are free to go. Have a great rest